you have been selected, or however that came to be, by the local Sister Cities group to be a delegate or a poll watcher in the upcoming elections. And my understanding was that the Cinquera, the community, asked the Chicago Sister City Network people to send observers. Now, I
That's correct.
imagine this is a phenomenon that's going on throughout the country.
It is. There are election observer delegations, covering from several parts of the country. Internationally, the European Union has sent a delegation, and we've just recently received their report on their observations in the municipal elections. I mean, this is, delegations descend on the country internationally. Our particular network, the Sister Cities Network, is sending about 20 delegates from around our country to particularly observe this site, this sister city, Cinquera, because they have requested our.
How
our
big a
assistance.
city is Cinquera?
I would say that the population is between 4,000 to 6,000 people.
Oh, so
It's
it's
very
pretty small.
It's very small. And like I said, it's very small. It's a very well organized community. The delinquency rate is very low.
When you say
And
delinquency rate, what do you mean?
the crime rate.
Crime rate.
And
As in
that.
juvenile delinquent.
Well, right now El Salvador as a country has one of the highest crime rates, and
Yeah.
it's been an increasing rate that's been increasing over the years since the end of the Civil War. You might have heard, or your listeners might have heard a lot about the gangs.
Yeah,
Problem
I was going to ask you about that. Actually, a number of gangs out of Los Angeles and other places that evolved probably with new immigrants who had been fleeing the violence down there. Young people got involved in gangs, and some of them got pretty hardcore, and they've been deported and sent back, and they've obviously done some organizing there.
Right. So to say that this community has very low crime rate is really something. To say that this type of violence has not been able to infiltrate this community because it is a well-organized community is prominent.
Now, one of the things that I've heard is that there were a number of parties running, not just Arena and not just the FMLN, but there were a lot of parties, and that the Arena people had been reaching out to the more conservative parties, trying to form a coalition to maybe hopefully beat back the FMLN. What do you know about this process? Because I did hear that one party that they had hoped to go with them and ally with them in maintaining the situation as it is, in other words, Arena in power, had come out in favor of the FMLN. Are you aware of any of these maneuvers and
I'm aware.
negotiations?
Yeah, I'm aware that certain more conservative-leaning parties have come out and are now organized with Arena. I'm also aware that there have been some maneuvers, such as the ruling party removing the name, a candidate's name, from an opposition party, which he is also making some charges to the Ombudsman for Human Rights because he's saying that this is a clear violation, that the removal of his name on the ballot is in clear violation of his human rights. Even though the party may have made a decision, his name as a candidate on the ballot cannot be removed. But there have been lots of other there's been another political party, I think it's the FDR, that has come out in support of Funes. Lots of other leaders and have come out in support of Funes, and worker organizations and councils have come out in support of Funes. So he also has a number of endorsements for his candidacy as well.
So Funes is the candidate of
for the FMLN.
And what is his background? Do you know? He actually, to my understanding, did not come out of the guerrilla movement. That he is like a new wave of FMLN people.
Right, that's correct, and that's partly one of the reasons why people say he has been able to, grasp the support of people who may have not originally supported the FMLN in the past. But Mauricio Funes, he's the presidential candidate for the FMLN, and he's, should I go ahead? He is a well-known and respected journalist for some time. He was not associated with the FMLN as a guerrilla movement during the 80s, and so he's just recently entered the party And again, one of the reasons why he has become so popular is because the ruling party has not been able to tie him to some of the past, the Civil War and that type of.
You are listening to Live from the Heartland on WLUW 88.7, listener-supported community radio. It is actually Loyola University's community radio, and we broadcast every Saturday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. here from the Heartland Cafe. We broadcast live, and anywhere you go in the world, you can listen to us if you have access to the internet. That would be WLUW.org, and then you punch Listen Live. I am talking with Diana Guelespe, and she is a representative of the Chicago-Cinquera Sister Cities, and she has been selected as a election observer delegate or election observer to go down to El Salvador for the March 15th elections that are coming up, the presidential elections, where basically it's a runoff, a face-off between ARENA, the longtime conservative right-wing military party, that has ruled El Salvador versus the former guerrillas and new wave of adherents in the FMLN. What does an election observer do?
Well, one of the
What are you going to do?
Well, it's almost it's exactly as the name of the position. We actually observe the elections. We cannot directly interfere in the electoral process, but the importance of having election observers there is really to record and report any electoral fraud that we witness, and many times a lot of this fraud and dirty campaigning that goes on is not only on election day, but all of the days leading up to election day, obviously on election day as well. And the importance of this type of participation is that we then come up with a report, and all the other election observer delegations also report any type of fraudulent activity that they've been seeing, and this type of criticism could really play a role in the legitimacy of the election.
In other words, you're not like a poll watcher who can object and get involved in the process as you see somebody stuffing a ballot box or deterring someone from going to the polls. You have to just basically observe this, and then there's a report, and hopefully that report would have meaning if it's necessary.
That's correct.
Hopefully we won't need too many reports.
Yeah.
But